Welcome to the Make and Design Podcast. I'm your host, Carina Gardner. On this podcast, we're unraveling the everyday joys and dilemmas of design, making, and business. For makers who want to be designers and for designers who are makers, this is your inside scoop to help you grow your business and bring more creativity to your life. Hi designers, I'm so excited because today is the first time ever I am having Josh on the podcast. Josh is my husband, and he has a great story to tell you guys that I thought was really beneficial for designers, especially when we're starting to start a business or starting something new. It can feel really hard. So I would love to introduce Josh to you. If you can't tell, we are different sizes. So there's a great picture on Instagram that I posted in stories, but Josh is like, what are you telling people you are these days? How tall are you?
Like 7'3".
Yeah.
No, 6'6". I'm 6'6".
6'6". I'm 5'6". So we're like a foot apart. So like you can see me trying, if you're on the YouTube channel, trying to sit up a little bit taller. So I can match Josh.
I think the couch you're on is a little bit higher up, so I think it helps.
I think it's helping me a tiny bit. Okay, so Josh, will you tell everyone a little bit about what happened in September of this year?
Yes. So in September, I went fishing for the first time. Thank you. I went fishing for the first time, and when I say the first time, I mean like the first time for real. There have been a few times during my life when like I had an uncle take me fishing once when I was a kid. We didn't catch anything. A couple of times with your mom, we fished in a little pond in Tennessee and caught fish that were like this big.
Just silly stuff.
Yeah, but this was the first time like I bought waders, I bought a fly rod, I bought a fishing rod, I bought a reel, I bought all the gear, because a friend of mine who's a neighbor every year goes up to the town of Yakutat, Alaska in September in order to fish for coho salmon, aka silver salmon. He was like, "Do you want to come?" And I was like, I've never really fished before, but sure, I'll come. So went fishing for the first time.
Yeah, so it was actually September was crazy for us because many of you know that if you've been listening to the podcast, the Design Suite Live retreat was there. So we had been meeting with designers and we had kind of overlapped with Josh going to Alaska. So our kids were holding down the fort for a day or two by themselves. We have older kids, so it was fine, but it was just kind of nuts in terms of our family life. So, but worth it?
Oh yeah, it was way fun.
Yeah, super worth it. So it's so funny. Josh came home and he was like, I have to tell you about this experience I had. It was like totally a great story to tell your designers. And so I was like, oh my gosh, well, let's tell it. And we're finally sitting down. You can see, if you're on the YouTube channel, you see our Christmas trees up behind us. And it's because it's November and we're finally getting to the part where we can actually tell the story because it's been super busy. So
it has been busy.
Super busy. Okay, so do you need to lay the groundwork of this story?
Maybe just a little bit. I mean, so Yakutat, Alaska is a place that it's a county that is 3 times the size of Connecticut. Or it's 3 times the size of Rhode Island, that has 650 people that live in it. Yakutat is the 3rd wettest city in the United States, so it gets more rainfall than almost anywhere. And it has some of the best sport fishing in the world. There's a river up there called the SeaTac River that is one of the best in the world for catching king salmon, sockeye salmon, silver salmon, just depending on the time of year. And so we went up in September. That's silver salmon season, and like I said, I was not a fisherman. I was literally, some of the gear that I pulled out, I was using for the very first time, and it was pretty funny. But we get up there, we arrive on a Saturday, and then Sunday morning we take a flight out to a different river called the Italio River, and it's the kind of place that either you need to drive an ATV for 3 hours to get to, or you fly a plane to get there. So we flew out there. I think there were 9 of us on the plane. Everybody else there had fished before. There was even one guy who was quite a bit older than me, brought his daughter, and she had fished maybe 3 times. So she was the other sort of noob of the bunch. But I was definitely I'd caught 1 fish before. The guy who took me on the trip took me fishing here in Utah a week before the trip just to make sure that I knew how to cast and things like that. And after he saw me cast a few times, he was like, I think you're going to be okay in Alaska. And I did catch one fish. I caught a little cutthroat trout. So, I had caught one fish when we got to Alaska, one real fish. So we fly out to the Italio River, and they drop you off at the river at about 9 in the morning, and the plane will fly back and pick you up at about 3:30, and you're allowed to keep 4 fish during the day. And so it was such an amazing place. They give you a bear spray because you're out there and bears could show up. No people around, just picturesque, beautiful, green, mossy, spongy ground. It's raining. You're wearing a raincoat and waders so that you're staying dry the entire time. Gray skies. It's not sunny because it's raining, but just pine trees. And, this is my first time to Alaska too. And so there's new vegetation that I haven't seen before. There's different kinds of mushrooms all over the place. The plane drops us off, and we're kind of in this meadow. And the guy who flies the plane is like, just follow that trail around and you'll get to the river. And so we follow the trail through this little passageway between pine trees, and we get to this river, and it just is this picturesque, beautiful river. And we wade across the river. The water's pretty high this year because it's been raining a lot more than usual. And we get to this spot where there are 2 branches of the river that are coming together. And so there's 9 of us, some of us are on one bank of the river, some of us are on the island in the middle, some of us cross both rivers running on the other side there, and everybody starts casting and we start fishing, and that's sort of the setup of the story.
Yeah, so you found yourself in a place where you ended up alone. Like there was everybody else had kind of moved down river. You had kind of you were by yourself and you were casting, but this is really the first time you had truly started casting.
Well, we're not quite there yet. You're
okay.
getting ahead of yourself on the story, because we spend the morning from 9:30 until noon. Everybody is just there around this little spot, just casting. And you guys, everybody is catching fish. Everybody. The daughter of the guy who's only fished 3 times, she's like throwing her line out there and she's just pulling them in. And other guys are over there with their fly rods, and they're just casting, and I'm like, dude, that's like Brad Pitt and the river runs through it over there. Like, these guys look like pros. Like, this is amazing. And I'm sitting there like, it's like I'm throwing it's like I've got a tomato can on the end of my line. And like, I cast and it's like, splash, and like, run away, fishies. This is not the thing for you to bite onto. And we're out there, and I'm sitting there, I'm just getting frustrated. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like this is... So finally at about noon, some people have caught, 3 or 4 fish already, and one of the guys, the guy who took me on the trip is not on this fly out in the plane, so he's not with me to sort of watch over it. So I'm with a bunch of people that I don't know as well. This is the second day that I've met all of these people. So finally at about noon, one of the guys says, everybody's caught a fish by now, right? And I'm like, I haven't even had a bite yet. And he's like, what? And I'm like, yeah, I was like, I'm a noob. I don't know what I'm doing. He's like, come over here. And so I went over and stood by him. He was like, cast right over there. So I cast, and he's like, okay, your cast looks pretty good. Now reel it in. And I reel it in. He's like, bro, why are you reeling so slowly? I'm like, I don't know. Like, he was like, you got to reel faster. You got to jig your rod a little bit. So when you're jigging, you got to kind of pop the rod a little bit. He gave me a couple of little pointers. And so I was like, okay, well, we'll see what happens. Then about 4 of them, the four Brad Pitts who were over there just fly fishing and just looking so good, I wanted to take pictures and be like, this is majestic. Like, let's put this in some kind of a catalog for fishing gear. It was beautiful. But the 4 guys who were the most experienced, who'd been on the trip the most time, said, okay, well, we're going to go down river a little ways. And I was like, I'm going to go with those guys. These are the guys who know what they're doing. And so we start going down the river, and the river kind of goes down, and it's got this beautiful bend, and then it bends back the other way. And we get to this spot, and I'm like, this is my spot right here. I am going to learn how to fish right here. And so I decided that I was not I sort of was not thinking about it the right way. I kept on thinking about it in terms of, the number of times I get a bite, or the number of times, and I started thinking, when you're measuring something, when you're measuring a new skill, you don't count the number, you don't measure your progress by the number of times you're successful. you measure it by the number of times you try.
Yeah, there's a great book by Richard Fenton called Go for No. That's exactly that thing. It's more about number of tries rather than number of successes.
Yes. And so I said to myself, you know what? I am not leaving this spot right here until I have cast 100 times. And I mean, from 9:30 to noon, I probably cast about 40 times because, I was a noob and, my line would get tangled and all this stuff. And so I was like, I'm not leaving here until I cast 100 times. Thankfully, I remembered how to tie the knot, the clench knot that you use in order to tie a new lure on. And I decided...
Okay, real quick. If you're on the YouTube channel, you're going to be able to see this. Josh is going to explain it for those of you on the podcast, but go ahead and show us.
Now one of the things with fishing is that you have to figure out what the fish are biting on. And so I had spent the morning using this little pink jig right here. It's kind of this little fuzzy thing with a hook on the end, and everybody was saying that the fish were biting on green. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to pull something green out of my little tackle box. And I chose this green spinner right here. And I was like...
Okay, so for those of you on the podcast, the green spinner looks like a big jewel with like a metal piece around it. And then the pink thing, what is that called again?
This is called a jig.
The jig, it looks like something you would put out for your kitty cat to play with. It's got like some fuzzy like feathers on the end of it. It has like a little knob on it, and it's like bright pink. So
yeah,
okay.
One of the things about jigs is like this jig right here was created by my friend Rex. He spends time, he sits in his office and he ties these jigs and he makes them.
That's so cool.
This spinner came out of a package. It's designed to simulate the look of salmon eggs floating down the river, so that the other fish will come on and they will try and take a bite out of them.
Because wait, salmon will eat other salmon eggs?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that's what that's designed to look like. This pod of salmon eggs. And so I'm like, okay, not leaving this spot until I've cast 100 times. And I start casting in my cast. So the first 10 times I'm like, so the other thing that the guy told me was I needed to cast upriver and let my jig, let my bait float down, And by the way, this is a place where you're not allowed to bait fish, so you can't put anything on the hook in order to get the fish to bite it. You can't use anything unnatural like that. You can only have a clean single hook. There are some fishing hooks that have 3 barbs that stick out. It's easier to catch a fish that way because they have 3 things to bite instead of 1. You can use 1 clean, unbaited hook is the only thing you can use on this river. And so the first 10 casts, I'm doing this 100 times. The first 10 casts, I'm really kind of figuring out my range. How far is my line going to go? Where am I casting? And so I'm casting. First 10 come in, I'm catching nothing. Got nothing, no bites. 11 I cast, nothing. 12, 13, 14, whew, I cast out, and by golly, I have a fish that bites, and I start reeling him in. I'm like, I can't believe it, I'm catching a fish, and after a few reels, the fish is gone. He ghosts me. I lose my fish, and I'm like, dang it. 15, nothing. 16, nothing. 17, whoosh, got another fish on, this is awesome. After just a couple of seconds, he gets off. He's gone.
Is it because it's just a single hook instead of like the 3 hooks?
It's partially because of that, but it's also because I did not know yet how to set my hook. And so when the fish hits, and I figured this out eventually, when the fish hits, you've got to pull up on your rod so that hook, when it hits his mouth, you pull on it so that it goes into the fish's cheek and keeps the fish on. And the hook is barbed so that usually the fish isn't able to get off. Sometimes they fight off and they're able to. So 17, I'm like, okay, 17, I've already got 2 fish on. This is great. I'm gonna catch a fish. 18, 19, nothing. All through the 20s, nothing. All through the 30s, nothing. All through the 40s. But even though I'm not catching anything, my placement of where I'm casting is getting a little bit better. I can feel myself like the time between casts is getting shorter because I'm not doing noob things like, having it come in and then having my hook get caught on my own pole and having to untangle it. So the time between casts is getting faster. So I can feel myself getting better, but I'm still frustrated. So all through the 30s, nothing. All through the 40s, nothing. During the 50s, I start to think to myself, what am I even doing on this trip? Why did I let my friend, who's not even out here on this river with me to show me what to do, why did I let him bring me up here? I spent all this money on all this gear. I'm doing this thing I've never done before, and I suck at this. Why am I doing this? All through the 50s, I'm thinking, this is such a waste of time. Through the 60s, I'm like, oh, this is so dumb. Why did I let him bring me here? Through the 70s, I'm just kind of like, all right, I'm here. I might as well just keep on trying. I might as well just keep going. Nothing. No bites during the 70s. All through the 80s. Nothing. Finally, cast number 94. And I'm counting in my head because I'm like, I'm going to be here for 100 casts. So I'm like, all right, 67. 68, So cast number 94 goes sailing. It makes such a... I wish we could just had the reel here so you could hear that sound. It goes out, plops in the water. I start bringing it back. By golly, I've got a fish. It hits. I pull up on my rod, set the hook. I'm bringing him in. I can see him flapping in the water. And when he's like 5 feet from shore, 10 feet from shore, suddenly he's just gone. He gets off my rod again. Wait, that was
94?
Number 94.
Okay, all right.
And keep in mind, you are allowed to catch 4 fish, right? And this is probably like 1 o'clock by now, and I'm like, dude, I haven't even like caught a fish yet. And but I'm kind of also in sort of a flow state, like I'm casting quickly, like there's kind of a rhythm that starts 95, nothing, 96, nothing, 97, nothing. 98, nothing. Cast number 99. Plop. Fish hits. I'm like, oh, all right, I'm going to get you this time, fish. And I'm being patient. And when the fish starts going that way, you turn your rod that way. And when he goes back that way, you turn your rod the other way. And you bring him in, and then you let him go out a little bit. And then you bring him in, and then you let him go out a little bit. And by golly, I catch this fish. I get him to shore, and I drag him over onto shore. And I'm like, okay, there's the fish. He's on the ground. He's not going to swim away from me. And I'm like,
now what do you do?
I'm like, what do I do? I've never caught a fish in Alaska before. What do I do? And I had been in this zone. I had been just, on my own casting for so long. I looked down the river, and I think I had taken my glasses off because it was raining and they had gotten fogged up. And I looked down the river, and I see one of the people down there, and I'm like, hey, I caught a fish. And he's like, nice job, man. And I'm like, what do I do? And he's like, what do you mean, what do you do? And I'm like, I've never caught a fish before. What do I do? And he's like, I'll be right there. And I'm like, okay. And so I'm like sitting there, I'm holding the fish, and he walks up and he's like, he's like, okay, so the first thing you got to do is you got to bop it on the head. So he pulls out like this big pair of pliers, and he's like, bops the fish, and the fish kind of wiggles out. And he's like, then the next thing you got to do in order to preserve the meat, you got to cut the gills. And he pulls out this big knife. I had a big knife in my backpack. I didn't know what to do with it, but he pulls out this big knife, and he was like, but you know what? Somebody this excited about a fish, I think I'd like to take a picture of you before we cut the gills, because doing that will get the fish a little bloody, so let's take a picture. And I'm like, okay. And then I look up at it, and I'm like, wait a minute, who are you? And he's like, oh, hi, my name's Mike. I'm from Austin. And I'm like, you're not in my group? And he's like, no, I must have flown in with a different group. I was so in the zone that those 4 guys that I had followed down there, I didn't even notice that those guys just kept on going. And somebody else from a different place, the plane dropped him off, came and was kind of in the spot that they had been in. So here's this guy I'd never met before who's now helping me with the fish. So he takes a picture of me holding the fish, and he cuts the gills for me, and he's like, pats me on the head, and he's like, good job, man.
If you're on YouTube, we are going to show you this picture, because Josh really is very happy in this picture holding this fish. So it's pretty cool.
It was an awesome experience.
It's really cool.
It was an awesome experience. The doctor from Austin helped me out, and I will say that his cut of the gills was the clean. I mean, he's a doctor. It's the cleanest one that I saw the entire trip.
That's
it was like
amazing.
Surgical precision. So I was like, well, I got this fish now. I'm going to go down and show my friends. And so I go down river, and man, those guys had gone a long ways. I don't think they knew that I was following them. They went down a long ways. But here's the interesting thing. I catch up to them. They're like, dude, you caught a fish. Nice job. Like they had the reaction I was expecting when I was like, I caught a fish. And the guy was like, nice job, I guess. Because I didn't even know the guy. But so I go down river. You're allowed to catch 4 fish, right? I caught my other 3 fish on cast number... Well, I mean, I'd been counting in my head all day, so I kept keeping track, even though I had already hit my... I guess I hadn't hit my 100 yet, right? Because I was only at 99. But I caught my other 3 fish at cast number 102, number 104, and number 112. And so after I figured it out,
Have you been dreaming of earning a master's degree or a design certificate that could lead you to launch your very own business? The University of Arts and Design has unique programs where you not only learn how to design, but how not to be a starving artist, which is why I created it. Join us in our upcoming Design Your Future event. Visit uad.education/designyourfuture to learn more about our students, discover the courses that we offer, and find out more about how you can become part of something truly unique in the university experience.
You guys, this is why this story is such a great story for you guys, because so many of you are struggling at the very beginning part of the design process, and it feels scary and it feels hard, and there's like these moments, really long moments of doubt. But what Josh just said is literally the experience that I see with so many designers. It's like once it hits, and once you figure it out, and once you've put in the time and the effort in a continuous way, it's like it all just happens. Like it all falls like into place. I've seen this with designers who like literally would get like 4 sales in a single year, and then suddenly in month 12 they do $35,000, like some insane thing. This happens all the time, and most of the time the reason you don't see it as much is because people give up on cast 20, they give up on cast 25, they give up on on cast 60, instead of saying, you know what, I'm going to see this through to a very long period of time. The other thing Josh did, which was so good, is he went and he got a little bit of help. Like in a couple of different instances, he went and got a little bit of help to be like, the guy was like, you were reeling in too slow and all of those things. And so he was doing things to modify what he was doing, because it was even before the 100, you were frustrated even before the 100. Right?
oh yeah. Like I was sitting there on that riverbank before I went down the river and decided on the hunt. I was like sitting there going, dude, like every person here is just catching fish, like they're all over the place. And like I said, like it felt like I had like a radioactive rock on the end of my rod, and I'd throw it in the river and the fish would all just swim away,
Yeah, so interesting. So how did it make you feel so clearly we know you were super happy when you got number 99. How did it feel when you got what was it, 102?
102, 104, 112.
Yeah, so how did those feel?
I mean, I'll tell you what, it wasn't as awesome as catching the first one, but it was more awesome in one way. It was more awesome in the way that I was like, oh man, that wasn't luck. Like on number 102, I was like, maybe I'm just lucky lightning struck twice, Awesome. Oh my gosh, I caught the fish. My friends were there. They helped me with the net that time. That part of it, landing the fish, went a lot more smoothly. But by 104, I'm like, dude, it wasn't luck. I know what I'm doing. And then, 105, 106, whatever. I was like, I know the next one's out there. And then I had this confidence, right? I was like, I know the next fish is about to bite. 112, he catch it, he bites. I bring him in.
So it's so funny because you told me this story. I've only heard the story once, when you got home and you were like, it's just like Design Suite, like what we're trying to do in Design Suite. Like sometimes everyone feels like the first sale is like a lucky thing. Like it was like an accident. Mm-hmm. It's like, oh, I just got lucky. It's very exciting and fun. But then the second sale comes in, you go, well, maybe that was lucky. And then the third sale comes in and you're like, oh, maybe I have something here. And that's why we focus on sales and Design Suite, not because of the money, because it usually isn't very much money. It's usually like 99 cents, right? It's like never about the money. It's about exactly what Josh is talking about here. It's about the confidence that you can do it and that it's not luck. It's actually putting in the time and the effort to become a great designer and to build an actual practical design business. What were your thoughts about design and how it related to what you were experiencing on the river?
I wasn't necessarily thinking about design per se, but I was
thinking... He wasn't, because he's not a designer, but...
But I was thinking about any time you're learning a new skill.
Yeah.
And I was just thinking, this is exactly I've watched Carina start several businesses, and I was like, this is exactly like the businesses she started. It starts out slow. She doesn't know what she's doing. she keeps working, and then suddenly something clicks, and it's just she's off to the races.
It's so true. And, it's so interesting because in Design Suite, we teach you how to create a design business because we know how to do it. But when I started it and did it by myself, it was wonky. It was like the 99 casts where like nothing went right. You guys have heard, those of you who've been in design boot camp, you heard about my entire first 11 months. I'm sure Josh knows that first year. First of all, the design work wasn't very good because I didn't understand my customer. And second of all, it just felt like it wasn't working and I hardly made any money. Actually, I'm curious, how did you feel about me doing this? You're kind of like, whatever, I think, because I was teaching at the University of Minnesota and the AI. So I was still bringing in income and then trying to do this side hustle at the same time, which I highly recommend. I don't recommend people just quit their job. It takes time to create a design business. But what are your thoughts?
I was in my last year of law school when you started. I remember you said you were going to get into digital scrapbooking, and you showed me the first giveaway. It was a background of a digital scrapbooking paper that you were going to give away. And I did not say this, but when I looked at it, I was like, is anybody even going to download that for free? What is that? It looks like a brown blob of nothing.
Isn't that interesting? Well, first of all, Josh didn't understand design. So it wasn't terrible design, but it was terrible for the market. So that was the one issue I think that I see with designers right now is that even good designers who come from good design backgrounds, by that time I had a Ph.D. and I was teaching, is that sometimes we design stuff that is actually quite beautiful, but it doesn't actually work for the marketplace. And so that was a lot of my early stuff was very minimalistic design-wise, not great for the marketplace. And Josh honestly was he was really good. He just didn't say anything to me because that would have maybe dashed my hopes and dreams. Maybe, I don't know, I'm pretty confident.
You're pretty confident, but I also, I didn't tell you what I thought of the actual design work, but I also had faith in her because I had seen her, be successful at everything she'd ever done. So I was like, that one doesn't look so good, but man, this is Carina. She is going to make this work. And so I encouraged you and was totally supportive. It was awesome.
We were pretty young at the time. This is 15 years ago, 16 years ago. So, and I was just finishing my doctorate. I had just finished my doctorate. You were in law school. I was teaching at the University of Minnesota and the Arts Institute in Minnesota. You were teaching Portuguese at the time at the university. And we had 2 children. We had a brand new baby and a 3-year-old. So it was a crazy time. And that's the other thing sometimes when I tell people about my story of getting started is it doesn't all work out at the beginning. You just have to keep going. You have to cast a gazillion times to just see if you can get a bite, to see if you can make it work and figure it out. And then second of all, when I hear especially anyone from any age of life saying they just don't have time, you can make time. If you really want something bad enough, you'll make time. There was a time period there where we saw each other maybe for an hour on Sunday evenings, and that was it. I went to work before he woke up. He came to bed after I was already asleep. We were juggling the kids. We were doing kid shares with people in our community so that we could, I could go to work and come back. We would switch kids, then I would be watching someone else's kids. And I was running this design business on the side and putting out product literally every single day to see if I could make it work. And the answer is, if you want this bad enough, you will do the work to make it happen. And you can concur, that was a crazy time in our lives.
It was a very big, my second year of law school, when you were in the last year of your doctorate, right when the baby was born, right when our second child was born, that was the busiest time of my life, for sure.
And I was just so pregnant and so miserable. It actually really worked well in my favor, if you guys want to know, because writing my dissertation, I would wake up at 3 a.m. in the morning and I couldn't sleep because I was so uncomfortable. So 3 a.m. in the morning it was. That's when I was writing my dissertation, right? So I love this story, Josh. Did you have any other insights you wanted to say before we closed up?
Yeah, I'm going to give you one more fishing story.
Oh, okay. Make it fast.
This was day 4 of fishing. We hired a guy named Frank Devereaux who lives on a floating house up there off the shore of Yakutat. The man is a legend. And we hired him to take us up the SeaTac River. But here was the thing about having a guy who loved guiding on that river so much that he said he told us he would do it for free if he could. But he had been doing this for 25, 30 years. we were each able to catch 3 fish that day, 2 fish, and we would go up the river a little ways. He would anchor the boat and idle it, and he was like, all right, cast in that spot right over there. And we would cast. We had him booked for 4 hours. We had all caught our limit within about an hour because he was the absolute expert, knew that river better than any other person. And he would tell us exactly where to cast, how far to cast, what kind of lure to use. He would tie his own lures. We were using his lures that he had created specially for his clients. And we all caught our limit within an hour, because when you have an absolute expert that can tell you step by step exactly what to do, it makes doing that work seem a lot easier.
Oh my gosh, I haven't heard that story. Mm-hmm. That's really, really cool, but totally true. I have seen that for me, you guys. Like, I have joined masterminds and gotten mentorship, and it has literally changed my life. And because it changed my life so much, that's what we decided to do in Design Suite. So it's one of the things that was really cool about Design Suite, because I knew that if I could do the same thing and get people past that first year, that they could then really run with it on their own. It is such an interesting thing that the more we work with experts, I know this especially because I worked with, when I was the creative director of Cartabella, and I was working with people who were in the scrapbooking industry, or I'm a fabric designer for Riley Blake, and I was working with, and I still work with the CEO and the creative director there. When you work with people who are experts, it completely changes the way you design. It changes the way that you think. It makes you think more customer base, and you produce better product that actually sell. And that's really what profitability is all about, is making stuff that customers actually want so that they're willing to buy it. So, great story, Josh.
Keep casting, everybody. Keep casting. They'll bite eventually.
You guys, thanks so much for joining us. If you're on the YouTube channel, we would love for you to subscribe to the channel. We are trying to grow our YouTube channel right now, and it allows us to bring you guys more content, more interesting things, and of course, lots more design. If you're on the podcast, if you have a chance to leave us a review, reviews are lifelines of podcasts, and we just appreciate everything that you guys are doing and listening to us right now. So if you could leave us a review, that would be amazing as well. Everybody, keep on designing, and we'll see you soon.
Hey, did you know that you can visit me at makeanddesign.com to learn more about this podcast and join my VIP group for weekly freebies? I can't wait to see you there.